Hello, and today's learning target of the day is I can solve equations by combining like terms when necessary. When solving equations, sometimes we might need to combine like terms or simplify before we start using inverse operations. Let's take a look at the first example. I am going to combine my like terms here on the left-hand side, and x minus 3x gives me negative 2x equals negative 24. And now I can perform my inverse operation because I've already combined all the like terms. So I'm going to divide by negative 2, and negative 24 divided by negative 2 is a positive 12. And don't forget, we can go ahead and plug in our answer back into the original equation to make sure that it works and it is true. So I'm going to plug in 12 for x there and 12 for x there and make sure that I can check my answer and that I have it right. So 12 minus 3 times 12, and 3 times 12 is 36. So 12 minus 36 is that negative 24? It is, so we know that we're correct. Let's move on to the next example. 3x minus 4x plus 7 equals negative 2. So I'm going to combine my like terms here of 3x minus 4x and get negative x plus 7 equals negative 2. Now I'm going to perform the inverse operation. So the opposite of adding 7 is subtracting 7. And I'm left on the left-hand side with negative x equals negative 9. Now I did solve for x, but it unfortunately has a negative in front of it, so now I have to figure out how to get rid of that negative because I can't have a variable that it has a negative in front of it. So I could either multiply or divide by a negative 1 or simply just a negative. And when I do that here, the negatives cancel out, and I'm left with x equals. Here these negatives both cancel out or turn into a plus, and I get x equals 9. And again, to check our work, I will show you how to check our work with this example again. I would have 3 times 9 minus 4 times 9 plus 7 should equal negative 2. Well, 3 times 9 is 27, minus 4 times 9 is 36, plus 7, does that equal negative 2? Now I'm getting into my work shown here. And 27 minus 36 is negative 9, plus 7 is equal to negative 2, so we know that we are correct here. Okay, taking a look at the next example here, I'm going to combine my like terms of negative x plus 9x, and that will give me 8x minus 105 equals 127. Now I can perform the inverse operation of adding 105 to both sides, and I'm left with 8x equals, and 127 plus 105 is 232. Now the last step would be to isolate x, so I will divide by 8. And 232 divided by 8 is 29. Again, please feel free on all of these problems to go back and check your work by plugging in your answer back into the original equation. Okay, here I have 10x minus 12x minus 12 equals 24. So I am going to combine 10x minus 12x and get negative 2x minus 12 equals 24. Inverse operation of negative 12 would be to add 12 to both sides. And I'm left with negative 2x on the left-hand side is equal to 36. Now, to isolate x, I divide by negative 2. And 36 divided by negative 2 is negative 18. So my answer here is x equals negative 18. Okay, let's look at our next example. I have negative 9x minus 80 minus 3x equals 64. What will be your first move here with this equation? Great job combining the negative 9x and the negative 3x. And so negative 9x minus 3x is negative 12x minus 80 equals 64. Now I will work on isolating my variable. So the inverse operation of minus 80 is to add 80 to both sides. and I'm left with negative 12x equals, and 64 plus 80 is 144. Now I'm going to isolate x and divide by negative 12, and I get x equals negative 12, and that will be my final answer. Okay, let's continue. I am going to combine together 4x plus 12x to give me 16x minus 122 equals 86. Now the inverse operation of subtracting 122 is adding 122. So I'm going to add 122 to both sides. And I'm left with 16x equals 86 plus 122 is 208. And now the inverse operation of 16 times x is to divide by 16. And 208 divided by 16 is 13. So x equals 13 is my final answer. Now we're getting into some examples where we might have a couple of like terms on each side of the equation, or here on just one side of the equation. So a little trick to help you keep things organized is you could break these down by colors, or if you're just using a pencil or a pen, you could use boxes and circles or underline. So I'm going to underline some of the like terms and circle some of the others. So I want to make sure I don't get anything confused here. And now I'm going to combine what's in blue first, or underlined. Negative x minus 3x is negative 4x. And then negative 26 plus 4 is negative 22. And that equals 42. So now I'm going to isolate x and perform the inverse operation of negative 22, or subtracting 22, which would be adding 22. And I'm left with negative 4x equals 42 plus 22 is 64. Now we'll divide by negative 4. 64 divided by negative 4 is negative 16. And let's go and check our work just to make sure that we still remember how to do that, because we haven't done that in a few examples. So I'm going to plug in here. I have negative 16 minus 3 times negative 16 minus 26 plus 4 had better equal 42. So a negative 16 is really a positive 16. So we have 16, and then a negative 3 times a negative 16 is positive 48. So right now we're at 16 plus 48 is 64. 64 minus 26 is 38, and plus 4 is 42. So it works. We are right. Great job. Last example for the video. Again, I am going to go ahead and make sure my like terms are either circled or boxed or underlined. So I have 3x and a negative 2x. And I have a negative 13 and a negative 6. So I'm going to combine my x's, and 3x minus 2x is 1x, or just x. And negative 13 minus 6 will be further negative, so that will be negative 19 equals 7. Now I just have to perform one operation to get my answer of adding 19 to both sides. And 7 plus 19 is 26. So that should be my final answer, but let's check and make sure that we have this correct. So I'm going to plug in 26 wherever I see x. So I have negative 13 plus 3 times 26 minus 6 minus 2 times 26 had better equal 7. So let's go ahead and double check our work. And again, it's really smart to have your calculator next to you, so while you're checking your work like this, it can be, quicker and more efficient. So I have negative 13 plus 3 times 26, and that equals 65. So right here, I've got 65. Whoops. If I can write that in. 65. Then 65 minus 6 is 59. Minus 2 times 26 comes out to be 7. So we know we are correct. Great job following along and listening. Have a great day. Bye-bye.